Science writer says Lemaitre
Okay.
argued that the universe began with the explosion of a primeval atom, a singular point of infinite gravity in space and time, period.
Okay. So first, I'm just trying to understand. What'd you say? Lamont, Lamatre? Yeah. L's argument, which is this idea that there was this primeval atom and it's apparently a point of infinite gravity at some place in the universe. The universe didn't even exist. So before the universe, and that's how the universe began. Okay. I'm anticipating the science writer to probably say this guy is wrong, but I don't know. I'm ready.
If this is correct, our current observations should reveal galaxies accelerating away from one another.
Okay. If L is right, then we should have this observation about galaxies going away from one another. So not just from this center point, but also from each other. Okay.
This is precisely what we observe.
Um, all right. I'm smelling a potential problem here. If this is correct, this is what should happen. We see that. So does that mean it's correct?
Yet, because there is another theory,
Hmm.
the oscillating universe theory, that makes exactly this same prediction, Lemaitre's theory must be considered inadequate.
Okay. So I like how this second sentence, or this last sentence, I should say, introduces what I was concerned about. It's like, if this is correct, we're going to see this observation. We do see this observation. Does that mean it's actually correct, though? Because something else could actually predict this observation as well. And this is what this person is saying. The science writer is saying, yeah, there's another theory that makes the same prediction. But I don't love the ultimate conclusion. L's theory must be considered inadequate. Um, I, I, does this other theory have any other problems? Is it like, I don't know enough here to just automatically consider L's theory inadequate. It might be, but I feel like the conclusion is too strong.
Which one of the following most accurately describes a flaw in the science writer's reasoning?
um well, I guess my concern is I don't know enough to dismiss L's theory, because right now, based on what I know, these are equally legit. So how do I know that L's is inadequate? Maybe L's is right and the other one is wrong.
A.
Okay.
The conclusion is derived partly from assertions attributed to a purported expert whose credibility is not established.
Okay. It is true that the conclusion is derived partly from assertions attributed. I don't know. Well, partly attributed to a purported expert whose credibility is not established. Yeah, L's credibility was not established, but this argument, the conclusion isn't based on, doesn't need L's credibility to make its conclusion. In fact, it's suggesting that L is not right. So, um, yeah.
B. The conclusion is based on a shift in meaning of a key term from one part of the argument to another part.
I didn't see any terms in this argument change in meaning. Like, oh, they're using this term in one way here and then using this term in another way somewhere else, like
C, the
theories.
science writer takes for granted the existence of a causal connection between observed phenomena.
I would say that. Wait, takes for granted the existence of a causal connection between observed phenomena. Yes, but is that a problem? I mean, I don't know if the science writer is actually assuming that there is a causal connection between the singular point and the planets, galaxies moving away from each other, or just saying if it's correct, this is what we'd expect to see. So I'm not even sure that this is happening. And even if it is, I don't know if that's a problem because that's the nature of theories, right? So
D, the science writer fails to see that one theory's correctly predicting observed data cannot itself constitute evidence against an alternative theory that also does this.
I think this is a little bit wordy, but it's getting at what I'm concerned about, which is we have two theories that are both equally valid at this point, yet this person is getting rid of L's theory. So the writer is failing to see that one's theory could correctly predicting observed data, that's maybe L's theory, cannot itself constitute evidence against an alternative theory that also does this. L's theory could be used as evidence against the other theory. Why not that direction? Right. So, yeah, the writer is failing to see that. I would keep this open.
E, the science writer presumes without providing justification that there are only two possible explanations for the phenomena in question.
No, the writer does not assume this, does not say that there are only two. It does, the writer only mentions two, but doesn't rule out the possibility that there could be others. So D.
You've eliminated A, B, C, and E.
Yeah.
You have decided that D, I mean, does the author do what D is describing? And is it a problem that they did that?
Yes, the writer is failing to see that L's theory could be used as evidence against the other theory.
I think you're
And
reading
that's a
that
big
backward.
problem.
Read it the other
I
way.
think it's
Think
the other
about it the
way.
other way. Yes.
Okay, the science writer fails to see that one's theory correctly predicting observed data
One
cannot itself,
theories, not one's theory. One theories.
theories correctly predicting observed data cannot itself constitute evidence against an alternative theory. Yeah. Fails to see that it cannot itself constitute evidence against an
Yeah, that
alternative
is
theory.
what
Else
they meant.
theories.
What they meant was the oscillating universe theory, even though that does correctly predict observed data,
Mm-hmm.
it does not constitute evidence against L's theory.
Cannot. I guess I'm reading it incorrectly.
Yes, you are. You're reading it backward, but the point is the same. What the author did was the author had two theories that both correctly predict observed data. And then they said, well, because this second theory correctly predicts the observed data, then the first theory has to be inadequate.
Yeah.
But the fact that the second theory did correctly predict the observed data does not by itself constitute evidence against the first theory, which is L's theory, which is the theory that the science writer is trying to dismiss. Good job. I'll give you an A minus. You got it right.
No, that's not good, actually. I mean, misreading it. I don't know why. Maybe it's like talking out loud or something. But
no, yeah. And well, it's also that we see it in tutoring and classes all the time. Like I'm standing here in your face, like watching you do it. Right. And so it's just like, it's weird, like a little pressure, little whatever. And then they did word it. It was very wordy and vague because they just said one theory versus another theory. Well, which theory are we referring to, right? If they had said explicitly, the science writer fails to see that the oscillating universe theories correctly predicting observed data cannot itself constitute evidence against L's theory, which does the same thing, then it would have made, obvious, perfect sense. That I think that's an example there of where people would potentially not like that answer because they would be like, well, wait a second, it was backward. And it's like, yeah, but you're the one that made it backward. You needed to interpret it the other way in order to then make it make perfect sense. Yeah. I guess the only other quibble that I had, Ben, was with A.
Yeah.
There never was L purported to be an expert. It just didn't do that.
Sure.
I mean, A's out
Yeah.
because they
So
did
no
not
one.
do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
purported? Ain't no proportion.
So we could have stopped
Proportion
there.
did not occur. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. That was, by the way, from PrepTest 73, question 2, number 5. These are all questions that are now included under the LSAC's marketing license, which means we can use them. I was going to say we can use them for free. No, actually, we pay LSAC $10,000 a year so that we can use these questions and allow you to use them for free. That's all included in your LSAT Demon free account at lsatdemon.com.